that kind of domestic abuse should not fall under the category of terrorism. And they end up blaming not just women, but not just a particular woman, but all women. They want to actually live out some of these horrible fantasies. They're playing games and characters that are female that are being run over, they're being beaten up, they're being stamped upon.
Is it all coming from men? It's all coming from young men, or are there some young women?
Women are there to serve the men. Women are there to make the men happy and to make sure that they're looked after. And it's a woman's job.
Hey guys, welcome back to Get It Out. Now today we have a video from Legion of Men. This video is titled Terrorism Charges for Misogyny. The criminalization of men is happening. Man, it's getting deep out here, but they're going to fight any way they can. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get right into this.
Welcome back, Tribe. Have an insane one here that they're trying to make misogyny terrorism charges now.
Wow.
Watch this.
Yvette Cooper, who is the Home Secretary, she is saying that extreme misogyny will be treated as terrorism for the first time under government plans to combat the radicalisation of young men online. She's ordered a review of Britain's counter-terrorism strategy to urgently address gaps in the government's stance and to look at tackling violence against women and girls in the same way as Islamist and far-right extremism amid fears that current
No, of course, if it's violence, but I don't think men are doing things, talking about what's going on in society today to cause men to be violent. If anything, men are telling guys to stay fit, ignore the nonsense so you don't commit violence. So I don't know what this is about, but let's keep playing it.
This guidance is too narrow. Well, let's ask the opinion of Aisha Ali Khan. She's a human rights and women's rights campaigner. Aisha, thank you for joining me this afternoon. What do you make of this proposal from Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary?
Right. So we've been talking about something like this for the last, 4 or 5 years now.
That's crazy. Calls for extreme misogyny to be treated as terrorism. This is the country that's currently falling apart, the UK, where they're having knife fights out in public. It's two-tier policing, mass migration, social upheaval, and instability. The locals are being treated like crap. The migrants that are there throwing their passports and identification over the boats as they're crossing it to Europe get preferential treatment. They are housed, they are fed, they are taken care of. Meanwhile, the locals working their minimum wage jobs can't get any of that. There's no government subsidies for them. Under the guise of migration, this virtue signaling that Europe is responsible for taking in the world's destitute. This is crazy to watch. If anybody's paying attention, you have to go on X to see any of this stuff. Just see the riots. Just see all the clashes with police. See people getting arrested for posting memes. In the UK, you can get arrested right now for posting memes. The UK has even said, the police commissioner said that they'll go after Americans if they post memes about what the hell is going on in the UK. How insane is it for spreading misinformation or inciting hate? Extreme misogyny. Who defines what extreme means? Here we go again. People in the UK, you have no rights. You're not allowed to open your mouth. Simply criticizing what's going on with the porous borders, people not being vet and checked properly, just gangs of people being let in the countries. And these aren't families. These are young military-aged males. A vast majority of them coming over are of fighting age. All men. There are no kids. There are no women. Hardly any. That was true when the Syrian destabilization happened. Families were actually coming over. That was true. But now this latest batch of migrants are not families. They're just people taking advantage of the welfare programs in the EU.
And every time this kind of idea comes to the table and we discuss it, we get comments like the comment you just read out saying, violence against women and that kind of domestic abuse should not fall under the category of terrorism. And I think what we've definitely seen has been a massive increase in young people being radicalized online, especially young men. And these men have been, they're unhappy, they can't get a relationship, and they fall under the category of incels, which stands for involuntary celibate. Basically,
so these are young men who can't get a relationship. They are incels, involuntary celibates, as you say, and they hate women as a result of this, and they fall into.
You see how the destabilization of a nation through mass migration and parallel societies, now they're coming after men. Do you see how they make a rule to combat something else and broadly apply it to everybody else? Extreme misogyny. By whose standards and what will be the charges?
Guys, this here is criminal. See, when you try to point your finger at someone and call them criminals for men receiving sound knowledge, and some of the sound knowledge men are receiving is don't hurt anybody. Like, why would anybody that, is in a manosphere or anywhere tell a man to go out and cause harm? If anything, somebody would tell a man, don't cause harm. There's no need to get mad at women. Go work on your career. Go work on something else that's going to put you in a position to get any woman you want, not cause violence.
If they're terrorism charges, you're going away for a long time. Why? Because you posted something sexist on Twitter. Holy crap.
Well, whether they fall into or go there voluntarily, we can talk about in a second. But they're certainly very, very misogynistic and sometimes violently misogynistic. I wonder what
that's what it leads to. These are men who would love to have a relationship with women, and for some reason they can't, and then they end up blaming not just women, but not just a particular woman, but all women, and the rise of feminism and so on. So they feel very hard done by, very angry, very upset, and those feelings are turning into basically towards violence to punish these women, to punish all women, and that's some.
How many percentage of these toads actually do anything? It's mostly men letting off steam online. Please fix the economy. Why don't we talk about why it's so goddamn hard to get a job? Why it's so hard to raise a family on one income? Why your woman has to work in order for ends to be met? Why dual income household is the standard today, and that's what it takes just to survive. Forget the kids. Why can't we afford housing? Why are groceries so expensive? Why does it cost so much for electricity? Why don't they have wages that keep up with inflation and cost of living? What is happening to the economic model we're living under, where it's failing young people tremendously? They cannot even afford to go on dates. It's too expensive at restaurants. They're hardly feeding themselves. They're living with roommates. Do you think if we solve the economic woes of young men, maybe all this other would disappear? This is what they won't tell you. But you know what they will do is throw you in jail for voicing your concerns, for being a little angry online, for making a sexist joke on X. Oh, God forbid you commented under somebody's post on Instagram, a funny meme, and you said something sexist, straight to jail. Terrorist. Holy shit. UK, I'm sorry. You're I would never move to the UK with like this being even spoken about on mainstream media. This blows my mind. Romania is 1,000 times better. The UK is not even an ounce of what it used to be. Holy. Avoid the West and Western Europe like the plague. Jesus.
Something that Yvette Cooper and obviously previously we've spoken to the sort of people around this legislation as well, how to tackle this. So it's been formally, well, we hope that it's going to be formally recognised in the next couple of months, and steps are going to be taken to basically enshrine this in law.
Can I just ask you what you think radicalization?
I'm going to keep my eye on this because I want to see how many people. I want to find some kind of statistic when this is really in full swing. How many guys are being thrown away for a long time because they got these new laws in place? Crazy.
Means, because I think we know what it means, but in this context, I just want you to explain what your view of being radicalized is, how it actually works, and what the kind of thoughts would be of someone who is radicalized in comparison to someone who is just sexist or misogynist, just someone on the street, someone in the workplace who says and does silly, stupid things that they shouldn't do and are unacceptable in society, but it's not terrorism per se.
So if we look at the definition of radicalization under the current terror laws, the idea is that somebody is open to committing a violent act, and their mindset has been slowly but surely changed from, like you said, making harmless comments or sort of posting harmless memes and so on, to actually wanting to take physical action in terms of causing terror or causing harm to somebody. And I think that the reason why these are it's becoming more and more of an issue is because we've got people like Andrew Tate and other influencers that are using the sort of feelings of anger and rejection and frustration amongst these young men, and they're basically capitalizing on these. They're monetizing misogyny. They're monetizing these feelings of anger and just kind of taking advantage, in my opinion, of young men who are clearly unhappy. They're upset, turning these young men who would have just been able to speak out to their friends and so on. At some point now, they've got this massive subculture online. They can log on.
It's telling men to get up off your, go brush your teeth, go clean yourself, go work out, go read books, start grinding. Your emotions, learn to control them. Channel anger, channel rage, channel that depression, channel that anxiety, that doubt into something positive. Go to the gym, get a better body, start a business, bust your grind every day. No.
And that's clearly what it is. Like, what's so negative about that? Let me let him finish.
No matter if you don't feel like it because no one's coming to save you. This is extreme misogyny. Stop being a loser, jacking off, watching all day. Stop being a loser playing video games for 8 hours a day. Get up off your and make something of yourself. I teach my son. This is extreme misogyny.
Same
telling
thing
you
teach my son.
To chase your goals, to be ambitious, to forget about women for a minute. Make yourself into a man first. Then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. Women will then magnetize to you. Telling men basics like this is now extreme misogyny. We're monetizing on angry men. Wow. How mind-blowing that we live in such a weak society, that the UK is full of such degenerates.
I feel him. He's pissed. And he should be pissed. I'm pissed too. I don't live in UK. This is not going to affect me. But I'll tell you why I am pissed. Because pretty soon, this would be law around the entire world. This is the beginning. This will be law in US, law where I am, and in Philippines. It'll be law everywhere. It'll be law in Thailand. Anywhere you could think of, it'll be law.
Telling men to be the best that they could possibly be, to live up to their potential, to test their bodies and see what they're capable of, to expand their minds and learn new concepts. Is extreme misogyny. But if we were telling you to cut your dick off, if we were telling you to start painting your nails, to be more effeminate, to wear dresses, and to like being a little feminine crybaby, and all the things they're trying to turn men into, this message would be getting pushed to the top. That's being progressive. That's having an open mind. You're so tolerant and accepting. But the opposite message is no, it's hate. The opposite message is extreme misogyny. Showing you your value, why you shouldn't simp, why you're not just a walking wallet, what you can do to be more attractive in the eyes of women. That's extreme misogyny. Say that men and women are different. That's extreme misogyny. It will be one day. They're going to categorize it. You can't say men and women are different. We're all the same, like we're robots. This is wild. Wow. Enjoy the ride, boys. You guys in the UK, you're leading the pack. Wow.
And talk to these other men, other people that they may never have met in real life, and they may never meet, and they can actually share horrible fantasies, and it's actually normalizing those types of attitudes towards women. And then obviously at some point a young person, for them it might not be enough, so they want to take something steps in real life, and they want to actually live out some of these horrible fantasies. And some of the messages I've read, and by the way, Peter, sorry, I should have also added, I'm actually a classroom teacher as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Young disadvantaged and disenfranchised young men for the last 4 years, and I've actually had conversations face to face with these young people, and it's not just young men young boys feeling unhappy about sort of, say, the economy, for example, the fact that there's no jobs, there's no sort of possibilities for them when they leave school, the chances of them getting good GCSEs are very low as well. So these are all issues that combine together.
So you're actually, let me just get into that a little bit, Aisha, because of course the extreme end of this is the terrorism and what you're saying should be the law. But actually you're at the sort of the original bit of it, the start. I said, well, hopefully not the start, but hopefully you're curbing it. But there are many young men you're dealing with on a daily basis who are perhaps at risk of this, or at risk of these sorts of being not necessarily radicalized, but certainly influenced by these kinds of videos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, these young men are being young boys. Sorry, let's just start with they're being exposed to all types of very casual misogyny.
So, in other words, what are you saying about the woman making these videos in UK that are saying, "I hate all men"? What's going on with that? I've never ever heard one person even complain about it. It's weird because even in US, right? Once men started doing it, you started seeing things happening. Guys getting taken down off different platforms, guys receiving all kinds of copyright strikes, but women all day long. I hate men. Men this, men this, men this. For years, nothing.
They're playing games and characters that are female that are being run over, they're being beaten up, they're being stamped upon, and then they see
GTA 5 is going to be illegal soon, because if you run over a female in a game, or a bot, if you run over a bot, dude, walking on the sidewalk, oh my God, extreme misogyny. Look, this is what he wants to do in real life. All the boys that have played Call of Duty the past couple years, goddamn, we just got the future soldiers of America right there, because they're playing Call of Duty and they want to shoot guns. Oh my God, they're going to be mass killers. What the This is crazy. These people are so disconnected from the real world. Blows me away. I didn't think we would get here this fast. Seriously.
In their home lives, they see it with amongst their friends.
Holy crap.
In potential relationships that are playing out in front of them. And there's
all these things happening, though, I'm not surprised. We're getting closer and closer and much more closer than people think to the end. You'll see. I'll make a video on that soon.
Nobody to challenge these types of ideas. And that's something that I feel really strongly about as a teacher. As soon as there's some kind of comment that's being made, oh, we don't want to pick up our plates because it's not our job, it's a girl's job. These are the types of comments that it starts from.
Right.
And you know, I speak to young girls, I teach young girls as well, and the kind of comments that they have to put up with, comments about their bodies, comments about their looks, comments about whether somebody would want to sleep with them. And these are teenage girls, they're like 12, 13, 14, and they don't have the tools or the skill set to basically stand up for themselves. They are effectively bullied by these young boys who are...
Women bully women worse than any other man could ever. The women are making those passing comments to other women. The girls are bullying the girls. The girls are mean to other girls. The girls are seeing what social media is telling them how they should look like, the surgeries they need to get, the boob jobs, the Brazilian butt lifts, the nose jobs, all the makeup, all that. These little girls are seeing other women and trying to emulate them. And if they fall short, they're made to feel insecure and they pick on each other. So anybody knows, they'll tell you teenage girls are the worst. They're worse to each other than a boy ever would. Boys are still nervous to talk to a girl at that age. Damn, this is crazy, dude. They're pinning everything on men and boys. Always. It's always your fault.
Also similar in ages as well.
Wow.
And I think then that snowballs. And obviously going back to my previous point, when you log online and you have other people that are writing similar things and sharing similar views, it's normalized, it's internalized, and it's really difficult to then, as a young adult, after having all these kinds of views.
Yes. Is it all coming? I mean, you're seeing young people, is it all, and you know about the very radical side of it as well. Is it all coming from men? It's all coming from young men, or are there some young women or older women who are doing this as well? Or, I mean, what sort of proportion would you say?
Nothing but women.
I think what I've seen is that obviously these are young men that are basically expressing themselves, but they're helped by other young women and other women as well. So if they have...
what he was saying was, aren't there groups like that for women? That would be pretty much what he's saying, right? Is there anything like this happening where women are at risk? Yes, there is. Like I just explained. But they're not thinking about that. It went way over our head.
a very patriarchal, very traditional or
Patriarchal.
conservative.
There it is. I knew. I was thinking, is it traditional women? Are traditional women going to be next that are espousing conservative ideals, like being a stay-at-home mother, like having big families, a lot of babies, like serving your husband? I knew these women are supporting misogynist young men. I knew that they would go there. That's crazy.
But upbringing, they will have seen that type of attitude, the types of attitudes where women are there to serve the men, women are there to make the men happy and to make sure that they're looked after, and it's a woman's job. Whereas men, effectively boys as well, can do what they want. There's no accountability, there's no responsibility, and it's absolutely perfectly fine. And I speak as a Pakistani Muslim woman from a Punjabi background, very patriarchal. So I have seen this growing up amongst my own family members, amongst the
how have you challenged it in your own community, or Aisha, what have you tried to do?
Well, number one, I was very lucky that I was able to get an education, because so many of my friends, people sort of around my age, when I talk to people and I say, well, most of my friends got married at 15 and 16, and then they became housewives. Some weren't even allowed to go and finish their GCSEs and get qualifications and able to support themselves.
Yeah, and your reality and your Pakistani culture is not the reality for most women in the West. We don't marry them at 15 and tell them they're not allowed to go get their education.
And that was from growing up in the 90s in the UK, and then obviously I've gone to university. I was one of the first female to drive, amongst my community.
Wow.
And these are the little things that I look back on and I think, gosh, we have come a massive way from back, those years.
Your people.
In some ways, not so much, and that still makes me very upset, which is why I speak out about it a lot, and I try to show women that are empowered, that have an education, that have good jobs, that are able to make their own decisions. We shouldn't be afraid of these women. We shouldn't be trying to pull them down or try to criticize them or see them as an anomaly, because we're not. And obviously,
have you had pushback from within your own community?
I think I've been very lucky because I'm.
Wow, man. All right, I've had enough of this bull. Being men is considered terrorism now. So glad to be living in Saudi Arabia. Once again, let's not tackle the cause of young men feeling ostracized, but instead let's punish them for society's failures. And that is the perfect way to put it. Succinctly put, man. Jesus Christ. Fix your own community before you attack English. If you want women's rights, worry about that one thing and not a guy.
Now, I was wrong with the comment I said before. I don't think they meant it that way. But still, what about the woman? Of course, women are not going to be moving in mass violence, right? Because they're women. Meanwhile, women and woman relationships are the most violent, I'm sure, worldwide. But that's not going to be addressed.
Guy that lives in Romania. And look, for the Romanian thing, I'm sorry for you UK bros, but if you're within the EU and you got a good head on your shoulders and you want a nice traditional life, I just did a video today. Look at it. It's all in Bucharest. I'm walking around, raw footage. I'm not even talking most of the time. Just look at the difference of what it looks like, the families, the people. Contrast that with what the hell is going on in the UK today. It's at the end of the link here. It pops up. I'm not going to talk any longer so that it keeps showing up for you guys.
All right, guys. That was the video from Legion of Men. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But that's going to happen worldwide. Maybe not yet, but maybe soon. I give it 1 or 2 years. They're going to start shutting things down, and they're already trying it. You already hear those little sayings going around, those little concerns, right? In the media all the time. Hasn't been pushed this big yet, but maybe soon. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like the content, or if you got this far, be sure to subscribe, right? It costs free to subscribe. It's no charge at all. So, yeah, guys. And definitely subscribe so you can see more of my content as soon as I release it. Thanks for watching. See you next video.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of bird.